If you are an enterprise AE and you are closing deals, but you can't explain why you're winning, or worse, you're losing deals you should have won, this video is going to change how you think about enterprise sales forever. I'm Kristen, and I went from teaching 7th graders to closing 7-figure tech deals with companies like Tableau, Outreach, and Salesforce. But here's what really matters. I've worked with over 100 tech companies and have studied what separates the top 1% performers from everybody else. And what I found was really surprising. Most AEs, even very smart, very hardworking ones, are essentially winging it. And those are their words. They're reactive instead of strategic. They are following their company's sales process instead of following their customers' buying journey. So today, I'm gonna share 5 strategies that consistently win enterprise deals, not because I read them in a book, but because I've seen them work across hundreds of companies, hundreds of reps, thousands of deals. And they aren't theories, they're battle-tested frameworks you can start using immediately. Number 1 is connect the dots. Most AEs think that their job is to present features and benefits. That's certainly how their companies train them, but that's wrong. Your job is to connect the dots between your solution and how it solves the buyer's business problem. So here's what that looks like in practice. Instead of saying, hey, our platform actually increases efficiency by 40%. You say, hey, remember how you told me that your team spends 15 hours a week on that manual reporting? Our platform is going to eliminate that entirely, and it's going to give your analyst back 15 hours to work on those strategic initiatives you owe the CFO that you're behind on. See that difference? One is a feature dump, and the other one directly connects the solution to their pain. The best enterprise AEs are dot connectors. Connecting the dots sounds like what goes away using my product is your reps spending hours on manual research, low morale from not seeing results, and the frustration of the team not hitting the number again. Strategy number 2 is what's in it for me, WIIFM. Me meaning the buyer. I'm not talking about the company, the individual buyer. The VP of sales wants to hit their number and get promoted. The IT director doesn't want to deal with implementation headaches. Your job is to uncover the personal wins for each of the buyers and address those directly. In our calls, we can ask about this. We can ask, hey, how will you personally measure success for this project or initiative? This can reveal the what's in it for me for them. So asking about their goals is one way. Thinking about 6 emotions is another way. Jeffrey James wrote an article in Inc. magazine years ago, and it was titled, "The 6 Emotions That Make Customers Buy." He said those emotions are greed, fear, altruism, envy, pride, and shame. He says greed sounds like, if I make a decision now, I will be rewarded. I'll get promoted, etc. Fear sounds like, if I don't make a decision now, I'm toast. I'm going to get fired. I'm going to be demoted. I'm going to be on the CEO's bad list. Altruism sounds like, if I make a decision now, I will help others. My team will work less hours. They will feel less frustrated, less burnt out. Envy sounds like, if I don't make a decision now, my competitor will win. They'll increase their market share. Stock price will go up. They'll beat their return that they advertise to investors. Pride sounds like, if I make a decision now, I will look smart. I'll look ahead of the curve. I'll look like I'm forward thinking, that sort of thing. And shame sounds like, if I don't make a decision now, I will look stupid. Our customers are not going to identify which emotion is driving their purchase decision, but if we go back and listen to their calls on call recordings, we can frequently identify the emotion that's driving that, and then we can connect the dots. Then we can start putting our value prop in the emotional language that speaks to them. So if you're an AE in tech sales and you're struggling and you want to get promoted to enterprise, like my client Brian Roback did. If you are looking to consistently get over 100% attainment and have great forecast accuracy, so deals that don't slip, push, or ghost, like my client Kendall did, or land the biggest deals in your company history, like my clients Richard and John did. Go check out the first link in the description, or go watch my other YouTube videos to learn more. All right, let's get back to this video. Third strategy is driving urgency, also known as selling between meetings. Enterprise deals die in limbo. There's a reason people say time kills deals. Our biggest competitor is not another vendor. It's the status quo. It's not doing anything. The best AEs are going to drive that sense of urgency and get forward progress with every interaction, not just in the meeting, but between meetings. What this means is answering the 5 unspoken questions that buyers won't ask us, but they have to have answered before they move through each step in their customer journey. First question is, do we have a problem or a goal that we urgently need help with? Second question is, what's out there to solve that problem? So this is revolving around ideas like, how do vendors differ? Who do we need involved in this decision? Third unspoken question, what exactly do we need this to do? That's where they're sifting and sorting the differentiator between vendors. Once they figure that out, then they start asking, hey, is this juice really worth the squeeze? In other words, worth the time and the money that we're gonna have to dump into this? Once they get through those 4 questions, the last question is, what's next? Also known as, how will this get done? I teach my clients to specifically address each of those unspoken questions, actually add value between meetings by directly addressing those questions in a way that helps the buyer answer them and feel safe and comfortable moving forward. Number 4 is reducing friction. Friction is anything that stops forward motion or slows it down. In an enterprise buying process, that can mean being single-threaded. It slows things down because one buyer, one VP going to a CFO to advocate for something is far less effective than 3 VPs going to a CFO and asking for something. Another way to reduce friction is by understanding the buying process and being a good guide, teaching the buyer how to buy. And those phrases start with, typically what happens next is XYZ. If we end every call like that, this can be a huge way to reduce friction in our deals. Another thing that reduces friction is what's called parallel processing. It means multiple departments in your buyer's company can evaluate at once. Usually this is towards the end of the deal where vendor security is looking at your IT security posture, legal is looking at the terms and conditions, and then procurement is looking at things like pricing proposals. All those things can happen at once. Smart AEs will reduce that friction, suggest that to the buyer, and run all those 3 processes in parallel, which condenses that time frame to 1/3 of what it would be if all of them happened in succession. Number 5 is de-risking a decision. Enterprise buyers aren't just buying your product, they are betting their entire reputation on it. That's why they're asking at the end, what's next? How will this actually get done? Because once they stop concentrating on feature function, but on things like implementation and support, that's where we as sellers sometimes don't give them enough information. As sellers, we are great at teaching people how to get to a DocuSign. We're not that great at teaching them how do they get to dividends. So here we want to use tools like a visual timeline. We want to do things like in-person introductions to onboarding and customer success teams and onboarding and implementation overview calls. That way the buyers can see very clearly how they move from purchasing software to actually using it and getting the outcomes they're looking for. Our job is to make choosing us feel like the least risky decision. What we can do here, things like social proof, guarantees, trials, phased implementations, executive references. And here's another advanced move, is positioning the status quo as the risky choice. This is known as quantifying the cost of inaction. And it can sound like, hey, the real risk here isn't so much moving forward with us, it's continuing to lose 15 hours per person per week while your competitors are automating and they're increasing their 32% market share. When we can flip that risk equation, suddenly doing nothing becomes a much scarier option than simply moving forward with what we can do to help. Those are the 5 strategies that separate the top 5% of enterprise performers from everyone else. They connect the dots. They focus on what's in it for me. They drive urgency in their deals, they reduce friction, and then they de-risk the decision. And the key difference between knowing these and actually winning deals is consistent execution. Top performers do not wing it, they follow systems. The difference between good months and bad months usually isn't talent. It's being consistent on executing the basics. So here's how you can get started. Pick just one of these that makes sense to you and try it for a week. Don't overthink it. Don't try to be perfect. Just see what happens when you pay attention to it and consistently execute instead of winging it on every call. That's really it. This can be the turning point where you stop leaving your deals up to luck. And if this was helpful, I hope you'll subscribe for more and ask me any questions below. I'd love to help you out.